A few weeks back on my podcast I do with Jim Gleason, two guys talking about records, we did a segment on prog rock. Now, neither of us are confessed proggers, okay? I've struggled with it. And, but I have some very good friends, especially from the VC, that really like prog rock. Bill at the Vinyl Verse. He doesn't make many. He has made a few videos recently, but huge into prog. Really gets prog. Art, North Carolina picker. Prog is his life. He has an incredible prog collection. And of course, there's a lot of channels that deal with prog rock. I think of prog rock and it scares the bejesus out of me. I mean, when I was younger, I think I used to like it better. Some of the symphonic parts of it, but I moved away from that. And so, it's something that I just like, God, I don't think I like prog rock whatsoever. And, I don't want to deal with it. I think of long albums. I think of songs that seem to go on for 10 minutes. I think of this mix of all kinds of different things that sometimes doesn't even really make sense. I mean, I love classical music. I'm huge into classical music, but I'm not always huge when it's mixed in with rock. It doesn't always work for me, but for some they like it. And so I've really thought a lot about this prog. But the more I read about prog, the more I tried to, dig deeper into prog, it's like all these other albums, they're prog. It's part of progressive rock. I go, really? That's progressive rock? Well, I like this, and I like that, but I never thought of it as prog. And I just want to kind of go through what a bunch of albums that are considered progressive rock. Some I would agree, some I don't agree. And the articles that I've been reading, and I'm trying to read up on this, I am no expert at all. Again, I'm just trying to figure this out. But, they said progressive rock really started with Pet Sounds and Sgt. Pepper's. Of course, this is first, this is second, but they took the normal type of time signatures, the normal type of 3-minute songs, the normal type of instrumentation that was used in pop music, and turned it on its head. Suddenly they're doing all this elaborate stuff, lots of different types of instrumentation, orchestration happening. Oh, George Martin, he loved orchestration. Brian Wilson was always hearing different things. What can I do? What can I make something, how can I make something totally different? And they said, these two, some, I've even read, consider them as prog. And well, I don't get that whatsoever. I don't see that, but it's because of what they were doing. But it kind of got things started. Okay, all right. I got a lot of albums here. I'm going to try to get these stacked up. So this got people thinking, okay, we're changing things up. And, two of the, ones that I think of in the 60s when it comes to prog. Prog was big in the UK. The UK took this, embraced it, loved it, made it into something big. US, we pretty much weren't getting it. I'm sure there's some out there, but we're more into the psych stuff, to the hard rock, to the garage rock that was happening, and not jumping into this prog. But these two albums here, I guess are considered prog classics. Days of Future Past and the Moody Blues, Seventh Soldier. Well, I guess any Moody Blues would probably be considered prog. And I see this, okay? There is lots of strings. We have poetry being said, on here. And so there's all this different stuff that's happening. I get that, to me, that's prog. I'm not a big fan of either of these albums. That's why I have a MoFi, because if you're not a big fan, just buy the best sounding one possible to get that. And I got it. I got these at a very good deal from a guy I know. But I'm just not into them. I've tried to be, during my college years, Nights in White Satin was on FM radio all the time. Stuff on this one was, very popular. And, FM radio is playing a lot of this prog type stuff. I didn't quite get it. So, it's kind of where I think, this is prog. Another obviously, huge prog is this, Court of King Crimson. I like some of the songs, but a lot of it I just don't get. It's just kind of noisy. This is some guy that likes droning and thought Sister Ray on the Velvet Underground was pretty damn cool because of the droning. Those aspects. But I think it's just the fact that we go into maybe these different time signatures. Maybe it's all the extra instrumentation. It could be the jazz that's being thrown into this because, again, part of prog, from what I'm learning, there's the jazz influence, there's classical influence. It's just we're throwing this all in, coming up with original music, something new, something different. King Crimson is very well known for that. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, obviously. I don't have any of their stuff. A greatest hits, possibly, but too long. It's just too classical. Though I love classical, I just didn't want it in a rock album. So we have that. You have, of course, we're going to talk prog, right? Yes. Not Fragile. I like Fragile. I said not Fragile. That's Bachman Turner Overdrive. So Bachman Turner is not Fragile. This is Fragile, and I do have another copy of this that I play. So that's why it's still sealed. This I totally get as prog, and talk about songs that go on forever and ever, got a whole side of a song or whatever. I get that. I like this. I love the artwork of Yes, and so maybe it's a prog that I could handle more. They weren't doing poetry. Regretfully, I'm not a big poet. So, music is poetry, right? But they're singing it. I just don't want someone talking about it to me. And maybe that's part of the whole reason. I don't know. But something, that again, I did struggle. I've struggled with other prog, but this I got. But then you have this one. That's my favorite Yes album. Why? It's probably the least proggy one. Prog pop? Is that a thing? Prog pop? Possibly. They really shortened up all the songs on here, trying to get in a new generation of kids liking Yes. And of course, I believe this was their best-selling album with Lonely Heart on there. Owner of a Lonely Heart. A wonderful song. That's why I bought it. I loved it. But yes. Now, Jethro Tull is considered prog. And I get some of it, but the very first Jethro Tull was pure blues. That's just where, the UK embraced American blues. America didn't embrace the blues, but the UK sure did and took that music and went on. I will say, the UK really experimented. Germany had a lot of stuff going on. Tons of experimentation going on overseas. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's meld things together. But, I never thought of that as I think Jethro Tull, I think of a rock band. This is considered a prog album. I don't get it. If this is a prog album, then I like prog. It's not my favorite Jethro Tull album, but I like it a lot, which I guess does that mean I'm a prog guy? I don't know. But this is great. When I think of prog with Jethro Tull, a passion play. This is very orchestrated. Lots of orchestration in here. I don't like this album that much. This one, concept album, part of prog, concept album. Can rock have a concept album? I would think so, but there comes the confusion. Some albums are concepts, and they say, well, that's prog. Is it though? Maybe it just depends on the group, possibly. But, I would say very prog. I get the prog in this. Is it because Ian Anderson plays a flute? Does that make it prog? Is that it? Again, it could be with time signatures or stuff like that, but to me, this seems like rock. It's strange to me. The Dark Side of the Moon is considered a prog masterpiece. This is one of the billions Dark Side of the Moons I seem to have, the newest one. But I never think of this as prog whatsoever. There's a concept going on here. Roger Waters is the king of the concept, right? There's a storyline. We're doing a lot of different things. We have a lot of synthesizer happening. We're going in new directions with music. Now, I get this as being more prog. Talk about classical. This was their, foray into classical music. Echoes, one whole side is a long song. Does that make that prog? Because that whole long song is going on. No expert, but maybe that is. I love the song Echoes. I think it's a wonderful song. If that's prog, then I guess I really like prog. But like anything, like rock, like punk, like jazz, there are so many versions of this, right? There's so many genres. It's not, you just can't say prog. You have to go into maybe the other versions of prog. I wish I knew them all, but I don't. But, I do like Adam Hart Mother. This stuck more to classical than some of the others that mixes classical in. And so I really thought that this came out well. Obviously, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. And it's considered, one of the greatest prog albums of all time. And it might be the way the concept is, the way the instrumentation is, the experimentation going on. But yet rock can do that. But, maybe rock is just thought of more of that, 3-4-4-4 time beat going on. Hard for me to say. So, obviously we think Dark Side of the Moon. Well, who produced Dark Side of the Moon? Alan Parsons. I get that this would be prog. Okay, it's in our MoFi. See, all my progs in MoFi. This definitely concept. This is definitely different. This is similar. I mean, you could tell, his blueprint. Alan Parsons' blueprint was all over that. And here we have a concept album going on with a lot of different things. There is some orchestration in there. This, unlike the Moody Blues, I'm comfortable with this. I mean, he had his other ones, Pyramid, Eve. To me, now we're trying to find the hits, trying to get more maybe prog pop. Did I make up a new genre? Is that real? You can let me know. But these, they're each trying to find their own special hit song to hit on the radio. But there definitely is a lot of different things happening on these albums. This is my favorite Alan Parsons album by far. I feel this is proggier than these. But what do I really know? But and then after this, I don't know what the hell he just like went off the rails in my opinion. I used to have all of the Alan Parsons stuff, but you know what I listened to? Ta-da! Then I liked this one. Then Tales, the one with Edgar Allan Poe music. I like that one a lot. And this one's okay, but here I thought they were really going after the pop market on there. I mentioned Bill at the Vinyl Verse. Again, great friend. His picture's up on my wall back there. He's a huge Genesis fan. Prog. Especially their first stuff. I didn't like that. It's so out there. Now, I like Suicide. You talk about a group that's out there, maybe it's just the anger and the pissed offness, but again, the droning of electronics and with that kind of instrumentations. It's more experimental, closer to krautrock, but some people say krautrock's prog. Genesis, definitely. We have these elaborate costumes. We have concepts happening. It just went right over my head, man. I didn't get it. Maybe I needed to sit down, really listen, read lyrics, figure it all out, and really get into it. I never did, and I just just totally struggled with early Genesis. This one's closer, okay? I'm starting to get this. Then out came Phil Collins, and okay, that was more pop music. But then, all right, so as far as prog, they say this is a prog masterpiece. Supertramp, Crime of the Century. I thought it was a rock album. I didn't know I was listening to a prog album whatsoever. Again, there's a concept going on here. That word happens a lot, doesn't it? It's a concept. And so it's follow the story as you go. But rock albums, I mean, I swear to God, they got stories in them. But, here, and doing different things. And when I did listen to this more, okay, I could understand the prog elements of this, and I got it. Now, you get like Breakfast in America. I don't think that's prog whatsoever. That to me, that is just pure, a pure radio, AM radio, FM radio, Breakfast in America. It worked for all of it. Maybe not so much here, though. They do have, some hits on here that I really liked, which is why I bought this. Dreamer is on here, and I love Dreamer, and right, bloody well right. But there is some different stuff happening on here, and there is a lot of experimentation. So Crime of the Century, I get that. So we have ELO. Yes, another prog album on MoFi. Holy smokes, I got a lot of them. ELO, because they use orchestration. Does that make them a prog group because I use orchestration? Well, if you look at that, that looks like a prog. That does not look like a rock band at all. I mean, especially, I don't know, this guy with his outfit that really doesn't seem to fit that well, quite honestly. But, I mean, and this guy, he's pointing at his belly button. I don't get that, but it's okay. He's proud of it, and that's all that matters. Or he's pointing down below, possibly. Yeah, could be. So, I see this, okay, yeah, that might be prog, but I hear this, and you do have El Dorado Overture. There is great symphonic. Now, I said Moody Blues. I didn't like symphony in there. It might be the poetry. It might be the way they're putting it together. I like this, but this is more pop-oriented. They're trying to get on the radio with some of these songs, and they're grabbing your attention, and it's music that just, I can't get you out of my head. It just sticks in your brain, and it's there. I mean, you get like New World Magic. I mean, talk about, if this is prog, it's got to be pop prog, because, I mean, this is just, telephone line, rock aria. Hey, we got an opera singer singing on that one, but it's just great song after great song after great song. Nothing long, nothing elaborate, very pop, very much on the radio. So maybe pop prog, maybe that's my deal. Maybe I like pop prog, except Pink Floyd's not pop prog. I don't know, what is it? So we get into, Kansas is considered prog. Left Overture is considered, which I don't have yet. I need to get Left Overture. Half Speed Master. Sorry, this is not a MoFi, but I really, I like Kansas. Instrumentation, we have violins. Concepts, yes, we had that going on. Different time signatures, okay. I get Kansas being prog, especially the earlier stuff. Even here to some extent, okay? So that I think I can understand. What we got next? Is Asia prog? They do a lot of different things on here. They have a lot of, you have Jeffrey Downs, Steve Howe, Carl Palmer, and John Wetton. I mean, talk about a prog lineup. If it is, this is really, really pop prog. I really liked this when it came out. It hasn't aged well for me whatsoever. I've re-listened to it and go, boy, that sounds dated, doesn't it? But when it came out, again, I think into the realm of prog, but pop, more pop oriented, for the radio. John Vangelis, I love the I love the Friends of Mr. Cairo. I think that's just a phenomenal song. But this has with John Anderson and Vangelis, we definitely are in the world of prog happening here with the electronic synthesizers and that doing different things. Totally get that. I don't like every song on here. Some of it gets too much. It gets just maybe too far out there, possibly. But you think of concept albums, King Buffalo. This is a concept album about a Death Star. Does that make it prog? Apocalypsis from Gerard Manuel Hummel. It's about aliens coming. It is a total concept album from a group out of, I believe it was Argentina. Is it? This is a rockin' album, hard rockin' album. I can't see that being labeled that way. Decemberus, love this album. Is this new prog? I would have to say so. I think this would fall in. You talk about doing different kinds of things. It is a total concept, pure concept album. It marches to its own beat. There is all kinds of different things happening within this album, which to me it's an absolute favorite album. So this was made in a way which my small mind could grasp and really like. Someone sent me this. Bernard out of Canada. Sega. It is a concept album about aliens and that and coming down. There's a lot of, isn't aliens big into prog? I mean, maybe aliens developed prog for us. I don't know, but they sure talk a lot about it. But, like a lot of different things happening on here. And you have songs that, will go on that carry into each other, kind of prog related, possibly. Don't know. We have Mars Volta, very much considered to be a modern prog. Music gets a little weird for me, and maybe that's where I struggle with some of the modern prog. I need to try Porcupine Tree. I absolutely need to try Porcupine Tree. I have not tried it yet. It scares me a little bit. Will I like it? Will I not like it? But then I buy all kinds of stuff, and what the hell. I need to get into that. Steven Wilson. Someone sent me a Steven Wilson album. It was his most pop type album. So they felt it was safe for me to handle. God bless you. I think that was art. But, definitely weird things happening in here. It is not your basic rock album. Does that pop it into prog? Machu Picchu 2000, concept album. Again, we're down in South America with this. Rock, but a lot of weird things happening in there. Possible prog. And, of course, there's Marillion. Absolute prog. Someone sent me this also. I got a lot of prog that's been sent to me, especially of the new stuff, trying to help me to understand what it's all about. Concepts, different things happening in here. And this went longer than I wanted, but I have been struggling with this, trying to figure these out. When we talked about this on my podcast, Two Guys Talking About Records, I had a lot of these out, and I did bring out some more of them because it was something that's always confused me. What exactly says this is prog or not prog? And, obviously I still don't know. You guys can help me out with that. Some concepts are great. Some concepts I think are absolutely stupid. I don't always like super long albums, a song, but yet I like Echoes. But Echoes has music that really appeals to me, while other ones get, I think Rick Wakeman, he just goes on and on these keyboards, and it just seems almost pompous to me. It's like, really? All right, shut her down now, okay? Echoes is just, things are happening and things are changing, and it's just not like this big solo happening. And that's part of it. I think that's what kind of caused a lot of the death of prog when you think of punk rock coming in. It's like, we don't want these long extended jams happening here. Let's cut it down to under 3 minutes, buddy, and get it going. So, I'm trying to understand more prog. It seems that I like some of it, more of the pop related type prog. but yet there are other ones like an Alan Parsons' early stuff, like a Pink Floyd, that I really do get. So it's a confusing genre for me. It's one that I absolutely don't know a lot about. I don't say that I do. I'm not pretending that I do. I'm just trying to figure it out and see, do I like prog or not? Thanks for sticking with me.